Hello there, and welcome to another session, solving tactics on chesstempo.com with the Advocate. Today's session is 1700 to 1800. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we have this pin. Rook takes c7 is not working. Knight check doesn't work. Knight check just wins me. If knight check, king c6. Knight check, if pawn takes, and I just sort of get my piece back. I think. If rook here, king takes, knight check, king b7, nah. Rook takes, king takes, rook takes, king takes, rook takes, rook takes. I don't see a way to win the full rook there. So I think it has to be something connected with knight c5 check. Knight c5 check. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Let's say king c6. I can play pawn takes check, king takes, pawn here, and I'm winning material. So knight here, pawn takes, king c6 doesn't work because of pawn takes d6 check, king takes, and then c7. So pawn takes, pawn takes. What about king e6? Pawn takes here. If king takes c7. So pawn takes, what about bishop takes c6? Bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6. Rook takes c6, and I'm down a pawn. Or no, that's just equality. Not seeing it. Bishop takes, bishop takes. Damn. What the fuck? What about knight b4 threatening? Knight b4 threatening rook b6. So knight b4, king e6, rook check, or even king here. I would have still rook b6. But now he's covering it again. He's covering it with the rook on d8. Wait, but then I would just have rook takes c7. Yeah, knight here, if king here, I would just have rook takes c7. So he would need to play, let's say, king e7, but then I can play knight check, picking up the exchange. And if king e8, then I can again pick up on c7. So the king can't actually move. That's interesting. Knight here, and if the king moves away, I either pick up on c7 or pick up on d6. So knight here, and let's say he just tries to maintain like the status quo, rook c8. I can play rook c6. If bishop b8, I can play rook takes c6, bishop takes c6, rook takes c6. Alright. Here, king e7, bishop takes check, bishop takes, or here and then just take the knight. So here, now let's say king e7. I can play rook takes c7 check, rook takes c7, bishop takes check, rook takes, and I'm two pieces for the rook. I think it wants knight c6. Knight c6, or knight a6, threatening to pick off the defender. Knight c6, king e6, rook takes. Wait, I can just take this. Rook takes. So yeah, if I want, yeah, so I can take this. He can take it. Oh wait, he would take it with his king though. If rook takes, king takes. Knight check. King b7. So no. Rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes. Rook takes, no. Knight c6. King e6. Knight a6, king e6. Knight takes c7 check, king takes c7. Rook check, rook takes, and then rook takes here. Yeah. So I was saying check, rook takes here, then rook takes here. The point behind this is to cover the rook. Okay. So if I move the knight, there's queen check, king h1, knight check, with threats of smothered mates. Obviously, I'm not going to allow that. There's rook h7 check, king takes h7, queen e7 check, king h6, queen g7 mate, queen h8 or queen g8, queen h7 mate. So it goes rook h7 check, queen check, queen takes, queen mates. Bent Larsen with the white pieces. Not too difficult of a problem. Queen takes g6. I don't think that's a bad move necessarily. Maybe it is, because queen check, king here. Boom. Yeah, so queen takes g6 definitely is a bad move because black is threatening checkmate. The threat is here, queen check, and you'll either get smothered mated, like this, smothered mate, next move, or you'll get back rank mated, like this. Back rank. So no quiet moves are acceptable in that position. Black to move. It's a weak e2 pawn. Not sure how to use it just yet. There's a queen check on e1, which looks pretty stupid. There's a queen check on g5, which doesn't look so stupid, but it is just the exchange of queens. And there's a queen check on f4, which looks pretty convincing. Queen f4 check, and the responses are e3, king d3, or king c3, or king e1. So queen check if e3, rook check, king c3, queen takes check, king b2, queen takes check, if rook c1, queen check, king b1, queen check should be mate, queen d1, rook c1, queen check, king a1, queen a2, or queen a3. Some mate like that. So that's if e3, if king e1 or king d1, Rook G1 check should be too strong to deal with. And if King C3, Queen check, King B2, Queen check. Okay. One second. A little bathroom break. Okay, back to this problem. Clearly I did some under calculation here. Did not consider this line. Rook G1 check, King D2, Queen H2 check, King C3. And after King C3, not too certain where to go. Rook G1 check, King D2, Queen takes E3 check. Is that a move? Queen takes E3 check? King takes E3, Rook E1 check? No. It was an interesting idea though. If Queen takes E2 now, that's definitely not going to work. Knight F7 check or Queen E8 check is going to be too painful. Too painful to bear. So no quiet moves. So it has to be either Rook G1 check or Bishop E2 check. Bishop E2 check, Rook takes E2, Rook G1 check, King D. So no. So it has to be Rook G1 check. So Rook G1 check, King D2 is forced, Queen H2 check, King C2. I could just repeat with a Rook G2 check. Rook G1 check, King D2, Queen H2 check, King C3, and I just don't have anything good after that. So am I just supposed to repeat? I just give a repetition? Just to stop mate. Yeah. This threat here is just too strong. The threat of knight check here is too strong. The threat of rook, I guess rook c7 is too strong. That was just again a very dissatisfying problem. Okay, the threat is rook check, rook takes, queen check is mate. There we go. Figured that one out. Yay me. Okay, do I have queen takes check? Queen takes check, king takes, rook d1, king e2. Do I have knight takes g5? Knight takes g5, rook check, rook takes, queen check, mate. So no, I don't have knight takes g5. I have knight takes f6 though. Knight takes f6, queen check, rook g7, queen takes his mate. So I don't have knight takes f6. So this doesn't work, this doesn't work. The only check in the position is queen takes f1. Queen b4 would cover. As well as threaten to win one of the rooks. So if queen b4, then I'm forking the rook. And black would play, or white would play what? Rook here, no. Rook here, no. Rook here, no. So I think the answer here is queen b4. To cover, and by covering, produce a fork. Rook h5, I take. Wait, but queen b4, and I'm not threatening to take this one, I'm threatening to take this one. So he comes here. That's an interesting point. I can't actually take on f6. So as long as he just moves this one away, he's fine. I mean, queen check, king takes, rook check, king here, rook check, king here, rook takes check. Queen check, king, rook check, king, rook check, king e3, rook takes check, king f4, rook takes check, king g4, knight takes check, King g3, knight check, king g4. Might not be so preposterous. But I could also just play queen b4 and not take. After rook g4, I could just play something else. Queen e7, for example. But after queen e7, I mean, yeah, I could just play queen b4 and then queen e7. But the active defense feels better. Queen check, king, rook check, king, right? Rook check, king e, rook e1 check, king f3, or king f4. If king f3, I would have knight takes with check. But maybe that's not even the best. Maybe it's just better to take rook takes f2. King g4. Rook takes here. Oh wait, rook takes here and he would have checkmate. But I know that I can win at least the queen and... Like, it's clearly the most tactical solution, if that makes sense. Like, this is like a position where queen takes f1 is sort of the move. But at the end of it, I would need to take care of mate threats on f8 and everywhere else. Queen takes king, queen check. I could play this rook check instead of this rook. No, I need both of them. Queen takes king, rook check, king, rook check. I mean, knight check is a move, but... Oh, knight check is a move. Holy shit. Queen takes king, rook check, king here. Knight check. King here. Rook check mates? No, he has king f3 or king f4. Queen takes king, rook check, king. Knight check, king. There's no way for me to control this. I don't really need him to... I need this dark square covered. Maybe I could play rook e1 check first. But no. Knight check, king here. Knight check, king e3. Doesn't seem to lead anywhere. Rook d2 check. Rook 8 d2 check. Seems to be the one that's most winning to me. It has to be a check. There are no quiet moves here. I could give check with this rook, of course, but after king f2, that's just a repetition. So it has to be something with this check here. This check, king here, this check, king here, and then rook check, king e5, king e5. Rook check is not mate. He would just take on d4. Knight check, king e3, rook check, knight here, rook check, king here, rook check, king here, and then rook check, mates. Knight check, king here, rook d, rook 1, d3 check, king here, rook 8, d4 check, king here, rook d4, mate. Another one where I couldn't calculate all the way to the end. Mate in 6. Disappointing. Disappointed in myself. Queen g6. If queen takes, rook takes check. King h2, pawn takes. If queen moves back, rook takes, queen takes e3. And if this rook moves away, I get the queen for free. Couple more problems. If queen takes, rook c1 checkmate. What if I play rook h8? Sneaky move. Rook h8, pinning this rook to the king. If the queen takes here, I take on c8, mate. Any other move, I'm going to take on the queen, take the queen. And if queen c6, if queen c6, rook c2, queen takes c2. No, that doesn't work. So rook h8, queen c6. What if I change up move orders? Rook takes, queen here, rook d8. He can just move away. What if instead of rook h8 I play rook c2? Yeah, rook c2 is better than rook h8. Rook c2, queen takes, rook mates. Rook c2, if queen e8, I can take with check. Excuse me, 1 second. Okay, back. So we were saying rook c2 is stronger than rook h8 because after rook h8 there's queen c6 covering. But after rook c2, if queen e8, there's queen takes d7. And if rook takes, queen b7 mates. And if queen takes here, there's rook takes. And if rook takes c2, then rook d8 mate. Suppose that's the best solution at the end of the day. Let me just check that I have queen takes, rook takes, and then h3. Rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, that's just equality. So yeah, queen takes e6, rook takes, and h3. Shigorin with the black pieces. So I wanted to play rook h8, but after rook h8, queen c6, black is again threatening mate, and he's covered his back rank problems. So then I considered rook c2, and after rook c2, if queen e8, there's queen takes d7. If queen takes d7, rook takes d7, rook takes here, mates. And after queen takes, obviously there's rook c8 mate. What other defenses did I consider after rook here? If rook takes here, there's rook h8 checkmate. Nothing black can throw back will stop the checkmate. Queen e8, rook takes, rook d8, rook takes, rook c8, rook takes, mate. Alright, next one, last one. Knight check, knight check. If I could get an Anastasia's mate in there, that would be good. So I need to solve a couple of problems in this position, it seems. I need to solve my hanging knights, and I need to solve my attacked queen. So my queen is under attack, my pawn is under attack, and my knight is under attack. So if I just move the queen to d2, that would solve my knight problem, because if knight takes, rook takes c3. It would also solve my pawn problem, because if queen takes here, I have knight takes. Queen takes, rook takes, pawn takes, equality. Knight check, pawn takes, or knight check, pawn takes does nothing. So I'm not considering that. As much as I'd like to play rook d4, preparing rook h4 mate, queen check, king takes, rook h4 mate. It doesn't work, just the simple quick rook takes c2 would stop that threat. I can't play queen takes h7 first, queen takes h7, king takes h7, rook d4, g4 stops the mate. So yeah, I think queen d2 is the way to go. Anish Giri versus Magnus Carlsen. Giri is the husband of Sopiko from Chess24, I believe. Okay, if I take here, he will have queen check. No, he won't. If I take here, he has nothing. He has no checks. But he does have queen f3, I guess. I would need to play like queen c5 or something. Queen h8 check. King g5. f4 check. King here. Queen check. Wins the queen. So just checking that really quick. Queen h8 check, king g5, f4 check, king f5 forced. If he doesn't want to give up the queen immediately, that is. King f5 forced, queen c8 check. The king cannot go here or here. Obviously he can't stay here, there's no way for him to block. So king f3 or king e4, and I pick up the queen. All right, that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for being here and watching me solve those tactics. I hope that you learned a bit of something from watching this. I hope it helped you as much as it helped me. This 1700 to 1800, it's in this weird place where I think it's still just the slightest bit below my level, but the mixed problems with all of the figuring out if it's a tactics problem or if it's a problem that wins material is always a difficult decision to make, and sometimes that really messes me up. I don't know how soon I'll be leaving this set. I think that once I'm solving them in like the 30 or 40 seconds that I expect myself to solve them in, or that I expect of myself, then I'll move up to 1800 to 1900. That might take 2 days, that might take a week. I just don't know. So until that time comes, I'll continue this series. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, good luck with your chess journey. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.